What's up guys, my name is Taylor and I'm gonna teach you some bar chords today. Bar chords are super important, one of the most important things you can learn as a guitar player. And the reason they're so important is because your open chords, which a lot of you maybe know your open chords already, those open chords will only get you so far. You can play G and C and D and A and those types of chords, but when you start to try and get into something like a C sharp minor or an E flat or a G sharp minor, whatever the case may be, you're going to need your bar chords to be able to play those types of chords. So bar chords give us the ability to play any major or minor chord, and we can play any major or minor chord by just learning 4 universal shapes. So today I'm going to cover those 4 shapes with you, and I'm going to also give you some great practice techniques on how you can actually play these bar chords, get better at them, get the notes ringing out. Because they are a little tough at first, so as you're learning these, be easy on yourself, don't get discouraged, they're tough for everybody. But I'm going to give you some great tips on how you can get really good at these, and we're going to cover those 4 universal shapes that will give you the ability to play any chord anywhere on the guitar. Let's dive in. Okay guys, let's dive in and learn these bar chords. There are 4 main bar chords that you really want to know, and they're based on 4 of our regular open chords. So bar chords are based on E chords, so an E major chord, or an E minor chord, or an A major chord, or an A minor chord. So if you ever hear the term E shape or A shape bar chords, that's what that's referring to. So here's what I'm going to have you do. If you know your normal E chord, you probably play that with your first finger, third finger, and second finger. So what I'm going to have you start with is actually to play that same chord, but change out your fingers. So try not to use your first finger, and we're going to use our second, our pinky, and our third finger to form the E chord. So same exact chord, we're just doing it with different fingers right now. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to slide it forward 1 fret, and then we're going to add the bar to complete the bar chord. So bar chords are pretty tough at first, so be easy on yourself. If you're just starting with these, you're probably going to get kind of a, sound like that sometimes and maybe not get all the strings ringing, and that's okay. It takes a little bit of time and practice, but I'm going to give you some tips on how you can get better at these too. So first I just want to go over the basic bar chord shapes, and then I'm going to give you some tips on how to practice these. So there's your first bar chord shape. So again, it was an E major type shape. We just switched our fingers out, so we're using different fingers. And then we scooted it up 1 fret so that we could make room for our bar to then go across the first fret. So the cool part about bar chords is you can play them anywhere, as I mentioned. And that's why they're so important, because it's the same universal shape that you could just play anywhere on the guitar. Every time you move your bar chord around, you're changing chords. The actual chord you're playing is different. So essentially just one shape gives you the ability to play basically any chord on the guitar. And we'll talk about how to identify which chord is which as well. So there's our E major bar chord shape. And then to make it a minor shape, so anytime you move this around, it's always a major chord. To make it a minor chord, all you're going to do is just take your second finger out. So now it resembles an E minor chord, a regular E minor chord, but we're just adding the bar, and we don't play that second finger when we want to make it minor. So there's a minor shape, and then anywhere you play that on the guitar, it's always going to be a minor chord. So those are your 2 basic E shapes. You have an E major chord shape. You're just going to change out your fingers and then add the bar. And then you're able to move that around and get a major chord. Or you have an E minor type shape. So you're just going to change out your fingers there as well. So you're using third finger and pinky in this case. And then add the bar by moving it forward. And then anytime you play that on any fret, you always have a minor chord. So those are your two E shapes. E major, E minor shapes that can be moved anywhere on the guitar. And I'll explain how to figure out what chord you're playing in just a second as well when you move that shape around. So next let's go over the A shapes. So again we have bar chords based on two regular chords, regular open chords, A major and A minor. So what I'm going to have you do is start with an A major. A lot of you probably play it like this with your second, third finger and pinky. Some of you might even play it as a bar chord already, just holding those three down. In this case, I want you to try barring that with your third finger. So same three notes, second fret on D, second fret on G, second fret on B. But instead of using three different fingers, we're going to use just one finger. We're going to use our third finger to bar that. So right now it's still just a regular A chord, we just changed the finger is all. But then we're going to scoot it forward just like last time, and we're going to add our first finger to the first fret of the A string in this case. And now we've got our A major bar chord. So again, that is something that can be moved anywhere. So once you get that shape down and feel comfortable moving it around, you can play that anywhere on the guitar, and it's always going to give you a major chord. Okay, so again, bar chords are a little tough, so be easy on yourself as you're learning these. Don't worry if you can't get every string ringing perfect right away. Just keep on practicing, keep on pushing through it, and you'll get it. The other shape we want to know is an A minor shape. So I'm going to have you do the same thing where you're going to play an A minor chord, but change out your fingers. So make sure your first finger is free, and we're going to use our second, our pinky, and our ring finger to play that A minor chord. And now you just want to scoot it forward again and add the bar, and you've got your A minor shaped bar chord. So again, that can be moved anywhere. Whenever you move that around, you're changing chords, but it's always going to be a minor chord. So it's a universal shape for a minor chord that can be played anywhere on the guitar. And a couple quick notes on the A shapes. When you're doing the A major shape, it's okay to just play the middle four strings. So you don't want to play the low E string, and you don't really need to play the high E string. You can bar that with your first finger, but if you're just starting out, I would just focus on playing those middle four strings and getting those ringing out. For the A minor bar chord shape, you want to also not play the low E string, so we can leave that one out. And you do want to try and bar the high E string for that one. So in that case, you want to get 5 strings ringing. Okay, so those 4 bar chords will give you the ability to basically play any chord. So the reason we need to know bar chords is because with our regular open chords, we can only play so many. We could play G and D and E and A and C. But when you get into chords like a C sharp minor or a B flat or a G sharp minor or something like that, you have to play those as bar chords. So your open chords will only get you so far, and then you have to learn those bar chords to be able to play those other types of chords that you can't play as open chords. So let's go over them one more time, and then I'll show you how to figure out what chord you're playing when you move those around. So again, we've got 4 basic shapes. We've got the E major shape and the E minor shape. So what you want to do is just bar the first fret for now, and then form your other 3 fingers into an E major shape and try and get those notes to ring. And then to make that minor, we're just going to take the second finger out, and now we have a bar chord that is a minor chord. Same principle for the A shapes. We take an A major or an A minor chord, but we're going to use the third finger to bar the A major, and then scoot that up one. We're we're using our first finger on the first fret of the A string to kind of close that chord off so there's no open strings. And then we can move that around, and that's always going to give us a major chord for that A shape. Same thing with A minor. We take an A minor chord, we use our other fingers so that our first finger is free, and then we can scoot it up, and we can bar, and now we have a minor bar chord that we can move anywhere we want. And those 4 chords will get you really far, those 4 shapes. Those are the most important bar chord shapes you really need to know. Let's go over real quick how to identify what chord you're actually playing. So with the E chord, you are always going to be playing whatever note that low E string is. So I'll put a link in the description for my video on how to figure out the notes on the fretboard. So I recommend checking that out. But basically, we need to figure out whatever note this is when we're playing our bar chord. That's the chord itself. So in this case, open would be an E note, the first fret would be an F. So when I play a bar chord on the first fret, I'm playing an F. When I play a bar chord on the second fret, I'm playing an F sharp. On the third fret, I'm playing a G. So whatever this E string note is, that is the chord that you're actually playing. Same thing applies to the minor version. So if you're playing this on the first fret, you're still playing an F chord because that note is an F, but in this case it's now an F minor chord because we did a minor chord shape. This would be an F sharp minor. This would be a G minor. Okay, so check out that other video on how to figure out the notes if you're not sure about the notes on the fretboard. But essentially, it is always whatever the note of the E string is, that is the chord you're actually playing when you play the bar chords. Same thing goes for the A string. So if I'm playing on the first fret here, my major A chord shape, I can figure out what note that first fret of the A string is, and then I know what chord I'm playing. So in this case, it's open would be A, first fret would be A sharp, boom, I have an A sharp bar chord. Second fret would be a B, boom, I have a B bar chord. Third fret would be a C, there's a C chord. Same thing again applies to minor. If you're doing this version, it's a minor chord, but the notes are the same. Open would be A, the first fret would be A sharp, so in that case I'm playing an A sharp minor. Second fret would be B, now I'm playing a B minor because I'm using the minor chord shape. Third fret would be C, now I'm playing a C minor because I'm using the minor chord shape. Alright guys, so hopefully this is all making sense. Let me give you a couple quick practice tips on how to actually get these bar chords sounding good. So tip number 1, I would actually start playing higher on the neck. So you might want to even start trying playing these around the 7th fret or so, maybe even higher if you want. As you go up the neck, the frets are closer together. So actually probably the hardest spot to really get these ringing perfect is by the first fret. And then it should actually get a little easier as you go higher up the neck because the frets are closer together and you won't have to kind of stretch out as much. So go up higher on the neck to practice these. I would keep your elbow pretty tight in here, so don't let your elbow kind of get out like this. Keep that elbow nice and close to your side as you're trying to play these. Keep your thumb down here, so kind of along the back of the neck, not wrapping over too much or going sideways. So keep that thumb straight and then across the back of the neck. And then another tip, you can kind of just turn your first finger a little bit. So rather than having it perfectly flat like that, you can kind of put it on its side. And that generally helps you get those strings to ring out a little better as well. So your first fret can kind of just be turned a little to the side. I'm sorry, your first finger can be turned a little to the side. And that should help you start getting those notes ringing. And then I would just say start higher on the neck like we talked about, and then just gradually move it down. So it's going to get a little harder as you move it down because the frets are getting wider. But as you kind of gradually do that, you'll start to really get the hang of these bar chords. And again, be kind of forgiving on yourself. These are tough at first, so don't get discouraged. They're tough for everyone at first, and as you keep practicing them, they will get easier and easier, and you'll wonder why the heck were these so hard at first, because you'll get it down to be second nature. Okay, and the same thing can go for the A chord. So start up higher on the neck, and then just kind of start working your way down. Keep that elbow in nice and close. Keep that thumb on the back. Keep that first finger turned a little bit if you want. And those are all really good steps to start getting these bar chords to ring out. Alright guys, hope that helps you figure out some bar chords. Check out some of the links in the descriptions for more on the fretboard and some more practice techniques, and keep working those bar chords. Alright guys, we did it. We covered those 4 essential bar chord shapes that are going to give you the ability to play any major or minor chord anywhere on the guitar. They are super important, and they're really going to come in handy as you continue to learn songs. You're going to need those bar chords for chords that you can't play as open chords. So keep working on those bar chords. We also covered some great practice tips on how you can get those ringing. I know they're tough at first, so just be easy on yourself. Put that time into practice, and you'll definitely get them. And for those of you who do want some extra help with your guitar playing, check out the link in the description for a free lesson and a free practice guide on how to develop your muscle memory. So if you're having trouble kind of getting from chord to chord, getting from position to position, doing different finger picking patterns or bar chord changes, you need to develop your muscle memory. So if you're struggling in that sense, check out that practice guide, because it's going to help you develop that muscle memory so that you start making those motions feel automatic and effortless when it comes to your guitar playing. Thanks so much again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next session.